I'm ready. Already started. I'm with it. Yes, I am.
That's what my father-in-law calls her.
She can't take my place. I know, really.
Okay. All right. We are going to call to order this special meeting of the Ventura County Board of Supervisors. Today is June 29th, and welcome to your boardroom. And we will have our roll call, please.
Supervisor Bennett.
Here.
Supervisor Zaragoza.
Here.
Supervisor Parks.
Here.
Supervisor Foy.
Here.
And Supervisor Long.
Here. Thank you.
Where's Noel?
And as
He
your
gives on these folks.
first official duty, Mr. Leroy, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Flag, hand over heart, ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, agenda review.
Yes, Madam Chair, we have additional agenda items number 7 and 8, and they're letters submitted by the Civil Service Commission in relation to the MOUs that we're considering today.
Okay. With those changes, shall we accept the agenda?
Madam Chair, I'll move the agenda, and I'd also appreciate the board's having the meeting a little earlier so that some of us can get away today. So, thank you.
There's a motion to approve the agenda as noted.
System doesn't work until 8:30.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor, we can vote. I think. There we go. All right, and that,
Signing Supervisor Bennett isn't working for your
That's not working.
all right,
Perhaps a cup of
that
coffee or
passes unanimously. Okay, at this time, we have an opportunity for public comment. Anyone wishing to speak to the board? And we have a public comment card submitted. Okay, that's all right. We'll just take it now. Lou Pricer. Mr.
Madam
Pricer, good
Chair,
morning.
fellow board members, I'd like to thank you for your time. We were in contract negotiations, which didn't go very well. I'd like to thank Mr. Tabine, John Nicole for their help and assistance. One of the problems we faced was the 3% that we were told was going to go across the board. While we were in negotiations, we found another association that didn't end up with the 3%. It makes it hard for me to explain it to my members why we're going to pay 3% and another association is going to pay less. If you read the grand jury report, it says 60% of it is used for public safety, which I am told is about 1,000 members. That would leave 40% for 6,000 members. I'm part of that 6,000. I am going to pay more money. My members will pay more money. It doesn't seem fair and equitable. When I first became president of our association, we became an association in '96. You welcomed me to the family. It doesn't appear like your children are being treated equally. This is a problem not only statewide but countywide. We recognize the problem and want to do our part, but our part has to be fair and equitable. And that's all I'm asking. I realize you're going to impose today, and there's nothing I can do about it. The other issue that we've had since '96 is the union provisions in our contract. We've been trying since '96 to get the same provisions as other groups. You offered in contract negotiations to the probation department a union provision which we tried to get, and we were told no. What do we have to do to get the same provisions as other associations? Tell me what I'm doing wrong, and I will fix it. But if you don't tell me, I don't know what to do. And I don't know what to tell my members about the equity and the fairness. I just don't feel like part of the family. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And hopefully we'll have better luck next time.
Thank you, Mr. Kreitzer. Okay, at this time we have board comments. Are there any board comments? We'll start down here.
Go ahead.
Mr. Zaragoza.
I'll just hurry up, because I know she has to catch a plane here. But I just want to thank, Mr. Pacala and his staff. We had one of the last meetings. We have two more meetings, at El Rio to complete the sewer connections. And they've just done an excellent job, and I just want to thank Trini Mendoza, Jim McDonald, Margaret Lopez, Sefi Munoz, Bill Likens, and all those individuals that made excellent presentations in El Rio to get all those people to connect to the sewer system. And we're down to 5C and 5D phases in El Rio. We're almost there we'll probably complete that project some early next year. But I just want to thank him for doing an excellent job. And also I attended the United Way community vision and mission statement for the Ventura County United Way, and they're doing an excellent job to help the Ventura County community and providing social help and benefits to the community, health and self-sustainability and other issues that are going to help our folks here in Ventura County. So, and I want to thank David Smith and also our outgoing president, Michael Powers. They did an excellent job is doing an excellent job for United Way. And that's it. And also want to adjourn in memory of the constituents that I have on this list. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Bennett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I'd just like to congratulate everybody that participated in the trauma marathon. And for those people that were involved with it for the 18 months to 2 years, it really was a marathon in terms of going forward. I particularly appreciate Tim Maurice coming up to me after the 6 hours of negotiations and saying, we feel like we were heard. We feel like you guys treated us fair today. He says, I'm going to be recommending that we not sue, and that recommendation carried forward, and St. John's and Catholic Healthcare West publicly announced they weren't suing. That's in everybody's best interest, and I think it helps reflect on the professionalism of everybody, including this board, in terms of how we did this. I might point out that the statewide director of EMS, Emergency Medical Services, statewide, watched our whole 6 hours of testimony and then called Steve Carroll and said, I've watched these across the state. I've never seen a board so informed and so on top of the issues. And I think that is one of the reasons why we're able to not have a lawsuit right now and be able to move forward. So that's because our staff did a great job in terms of briefing us. Our staff did a great job, I think, of making a good faith effort to run a neutral process that brought in people from the outside. And because St. John's has quality people that realize what's in the best interest of the community is what's most important. So just everybody across the board ought to feel good about that, and the good work of the trauma system, not just VCMC being the trauma hospital, but the whole trauma system in the county can now begin. Second thing is I just want to share with you the enthusiasm that is out there in the Boys and Girls Club community right now. I mean, this doesn't happen to the Boys and Girls Club very often, but they, across this county, Boys and Girls Clubs are feeling validated and kicking it in gear, and they're using this as another reason to reach out to their members and say, we really got partners here at the county, and let's get some more contributions, et cetera. So that's been very helpful. And then I do want to comment on on the comments made here this morning, and that is there is a distinction between people opening their contracts back up and people who have contracts that we're dealing with right now, and I think that's the major distinction, why some people are at 3% and other people are not. It's having people open their contracts back up is something that I think we've really appreciated. So with that, wish the board well for the 4th of July and turn it over to everybody else.
I really don't have much to say except to appreciate the good budget discussions that we had and the cooperation of our different directors of our departments, as well as a great appreciation to the unions for doing that 3% cut, because that has allowed us to be able to keep services, and I think that's really important. So that teamwork is very much appreciated. Also comment that we had a nice annual meeting of VCOG last week, and it's always a good opportunity, and everyone's always invited, all the electeds, to have an opportunity to talk and socialize, which I think helps learn a little bit about what other cities are doing, as well as getting an informed presentation. So it's nice to be able to do, and wishing everybody a happy 4th of July.
Thank you. I want to adjourn in memory of people on this list, and also I too agree with your comments with the trauma. It was a very interesting process over the time, and I agree. I think the board did a tremendous job, and the rest of the group did too. But I thought that St. John's response was a very good for the community response. I mean, you talk about a quality level of people in a hospital and everything else, and wanting to make it good for the community. So that was just great to see. Also, want to welcome Leroy. Congratulations. Thanks for being here with us. Got him here a little earlier. And everybody have a great 4th of July. Thanks.
I too have asked a request for adjournment memory. Two folks in the 3rd District. One, I'll call out Vernon Tubbs, Santa Paula resident. He was with the Ventura County Fire Department for over 20 years and well known in the Santa Paula community and loved, and also for a Camarillo resident on this list. I would also say that it was a long Monday and Tuesday last week, but I think there was very good work by this board for the residents of Ventura County on Monday to be able to work through our budget and a few tough issues, knowing very full and well that we are looking at tougher years in front of us, and that we are still the stepchild to the state, and we know that there's not a clear path whatsoever coming out of the state yet. So I appreciate the good work of the CEO's office, all of our leaders in the agency heads and department heads and managers who worked hard to bring a budget in that is responsible and is balanced and will serve us well as we move ahead into the fall. And also for the trauma work that we worked our way through, I agree with what you had to say there, Supervisor Bennett, and that there was, I think that everyone who came to speak felt they were listened to, and more than listened to, that we did ask some very good questions and listened, and that at the end of the day, the decision was made, and it too will serve the residents of this county well for decades. I think we have a team that is inspired by not just the vote, but by the opportunity. And it was good to hear the comments from the state EMS representative, and surprising other people who watched us for 6 hours that I've heard from in the community, and people who are very good friends of both systems, and who felt that either one of us are very well prepared to do the job. And so I think, again, it serves our community well. As we go into the rest of our agenda on labor issues, I do have one public request card, and I will ask you to come up here in a minute. Just to say that I appreciate all of our labor tables being understanding what the circumstances are that we are confronted with here in the county, while frankly in the state. All counties are confronted with this, and that's our rising pension costs and the issues with the economy, and how we, particularly counties, are so driven by property taxes and the values and the issues that come with that being our main source of revenue, and that we are a stepchild to the state. So labor discussions are always challenging, and I fully respect the comments this morning that they don't always seem fair. And I certainly would just say that this board over the last couple of years has taken a very proactive process in dealing with labor and dealing with our labor table leadership team and working through what we feel is a process that does bring as much as possible fairness to the table. But at the end of the day, there will be different perspectives on what is fair. And just to, well, I'll just end with that. So that's it. That's it for my comments. Others?
I just wanted to add one thing. Just we sat in these chairs for 21 hours out of a 38-hour period. Last Monday and Tuesday. I just thought you can reflect on that while you're having your 4th of July lawn chair.
Thank you for that comment. Okay. No other board comments? Okay, we have a request. There was our Ag Futures Alliance group thought that our regular meeting was 8:30, so they're here. Wanted to just give us some comments on an AFA issue paper, so I invite up Doug Nelson to do that.
Well, good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, fellow board members. Good morning, Marty and staff. My name is Doug Nelson. I'm a member of the Ag Futures Alliance, and it is my pleasure to deliver to you here this copy of the Ag Futures Alliance most recent white paper. It's entitled "The Impact of Agricultural Practices on the Environment, Social Equity and Economics, a comparison of open field, container, and greenhouse farming." This is our 7th issue paper produced over the last 10 years. And as is always, it's a very collaborative work, and this is the work of our subcommittee at AFA Roundtable, specifically focused on land use. Representing that subcommittee is myself. We have Marty Melvin. Representing the round table at large is Sandy Kerwood. I would direct you to page 3, because under 2009 committee members, there are numerous other people that worked feverishly over a year to develop this paper. And as always the case with AFA, it's a very inclusive process with members representing both the ag community, ag labor, the environmental community, as well as civic members. So I stand before you today, as we have in the past, presenting some important issues that have impacted the business of agriculture. This report provides you a clear picture of a unique mix of 3 different types of agriculture. We look at it as kind of a focused snapshot. The first is open field ag, which includes tree crops such as citrus and avocados, as well as row crops like strawberries and celery. Secondly, we have a container nursery business, which typically includes nurseries comprised of plants growing in containers or field-grown plants known as bare rootstock. And finally, our third type of ag business is greenhouses. And these include some high-tech farming practices such as hydroponics for the growing of tomatoes, as well as more traditional greenhouses that grow cut flowers. Each of these types of agricultural practices represents uniquely different types of operations. And because of economic necessity, they directly reflect an increasingly intensive type of agriculture. The challenge before all of us who care about the long-term viability of agriculture in the county is to continually seek ways to minimize our impacts while still deriving the much-needed benefits. As good stewards of the land, there should always be a tangible recognition of the value that all residents derive from the agricultural industry. And as you'll see in this report, it is a balance, a blending of the economic as well as scenic resources. And of course, in these recessionary times, we certainly need to appreciate that the agricultural businesses described in this report are now responsible for more than $2.1 billion a year in economic activity in Ventura County. And that number is per the latest statistics from our local Hanson Trust. Over the last 100 years, we were growing lima beans and sugar beets on the Oxnard Plain in the early 1900s. We were growing walnuts and apricots in places like Ojai and the Santa Clara River Valley. Those crops 100 years ago were economically viable because they could be dried. There was no commercial refrigeration in the early 1900s. Over time, agriculture in Ventura County has needed to be a very dynamic business and has responded to an ever-changing marketplace. And as this report reflects, it is certainly part of our ag legacy. We hope that you and other decision makers of Ventura County will give careful consideration of the unique implications and trade-offs of different kinds of agriculture. As you read the report and consider open field, container nurseries, and greenhouse farming, please keep in mind the Ag Futures Alliance underlying principles, and we call them the 3 E's: environmental concerns, social equity, and economic necessity. This was the strong framework that we used in producing what we think is a very forward-thinking report. We certainly hope you enjoy reading it, and we look forward to coming back and addressing any questions you might have.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Nelson. I appreciate you bringing this in. My apologies to the folks who are showing up. This was noted. We don't normally meet on this Tuesday. We called this special meeting, and as a result of that, also moved it up a half hour, hence the 8 o'clock start time. But we appreciate the report. I'm sure we will all have the opportunity to review it, and you may be hearing from us on other questions and concerns.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the work. Thank you all.
I was going to say thank you for all the good hard work in here.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the work of the Ag Futures Alliance. Okay, board members, that wraps up everything we have under that agenda. So we move now to item 7, and it is a second hearing. Specialized Peace Officers, Spolvack, Mr. Nicole.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, I appreciate your willingness to convene a special meeting for this. As you know, we have been working on our collective bargaining agreements since the summer of 2009. We completed the SEIU, the management agreement, the deputy sheriff's agreement. You now have for second reading the Special Peace Officers Association of Ventura County. That's the coroner investigators and the welfare fraud investigators. It is a multi-year agreement asking the employees to pick up 3% of their retirement and has 2 years going forward at 0-0. This is the second reading. It is consistent with the agreement that we have with management and SEIU with regards to the amount of retirement pickup that each employee is making. Be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Other questions? Supervisor Foy?
John, I appreciate this. This is, I think it's the right thing to do. I think that when we hear about what we've asked the people in the county to do, their 3%, people thought we were out in front, maybe early, but we see what's happened at the state and everything else, and we were just trying to be wise stewards, and I think it was the right thing to do. I still struggle with the idea of multi-year contracts because it kind of limits us and it kind of puts us in positions of possible layoffs versus other reductions. But I do appreciate all the hard work and look forward to voting for this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, pleasure of the board. There is a motion and a second. Please vote. Again, this is a second hearing, and that passes unanimously. Okay, item 8.
The next in the series of bargaining agreements that we have is with the Criminal Justice Attorneys Association of Ventura County. These are the attorneys from the DA's prosecutor office, from the public defender's office, and from the Child Protection Services. This is the second hearing. It is once again, the Criminal Justice Attorneys Association is being asked to pick up 3% of their retirement, consistent with what we have asked of other bargaining units who have expired agreements. Also makes provisions for them to finally put in place their fee for membership based on their election, in which they got over 50% of the representation for their bargaining unit. I would be happy to answer any questions regarding this unit as well.
I think the other point is also a 4% reduction of new hires.
Correct, my apologies. The new hire will pick up 4% for CJAC, and new hires in SPOVAC will pick up all of their retirement.
Any questions? Second read. Pleasure of the board. Motion and a second. Please vote. And that passes unanimously also. Thank you. And item 9.
Item 9 is the adoption of a resolution to establish the wages, hours, terms, and conditions of employment for the Ventura County Sheriff's Correctional Officers Association. This is a unilateral implementation. By preface, I would like to say I have worked with Lou Preitzer for just under a decade. We have worked together very well. I believe Tabine has made every effort to do the same going forward. And I do apologize to Lou that at times when bargaining units don't start in the same place, the result can be perceived to be unfair if they don't wind up in the same place. But the process is fair, the method by which we evaluate them are fair, and we are asking for the same sacrifices from other bargaining units. I do apologize to Lou for the feeling that it might have been inappropriate, but we don't believe so. We've been at this since December, and so we are to this point where we are recommending to the board today unilateral implementation, which means this bargaining unit's contract will be for 1 year, and it has the 3% pickup by the bargaining unit and the full pickup by new hires. Be happy to answer any other questions.
There's a motion and a second on the action. Please vote. And that passes unanimously. Okay, item 10.
Item 10 is to commence the public hearing regarding the approval of the amendment to the 2009-2011 Memorandum of Agreement with the Ventura County Professional Firefighters Association. As mentioned, the Sheriff's Association has already come to an agreement, and the firefighters have now come to an agreement. In both cases, the bargaining unit had no legal obligation to bargain with us until the year 2011. In the case of the firefighters, they had a closed contract until July of 2011, and they actually had a pay raise to which they were entitled in July of 2010. As part of this agreement, the bargaining unit by July of 2011 will have picked up 2.5% of their retirement. They will have, in effect, returned to us the 1% pay raise that they had. They're making modifications in their own employee retirement benefit trust. And we have some operational language issues that the fire district and the firefighters were able to come to agreement to. This is about a savings of about $1.5 million over the 2-year period with the fire district. And we appreciate the fact that they, like the sheriff, have been willing to work with us while they had no obligation to do so.
Are there questions?
Yeah, Madam Chair. John, I want to thank you, for an excellent job in all the contracts. And Louis, maybe the next round you can, fix that error. But to the firefighters, I want to thank them again, like you said, for opening up their contract. They didn't have to, they had a guaranteed payments to them, but their willingness to come up and help, is extremely important to all of us with the increased retirement cost. So I just want to thank them, for their demonstrated commitment to help the county and to help the residents and taxpayers of Ventura County, and the willingness to step up, and assist in this difficult economic times here for Ventura County. So I want to thank the firefighters for opening up their contract to help us and to demonstrate, their willingness to help us. Like always, the firefighters are there to help and protect the public, and I just want to thank them, and thank you, John, for all the good work you've done with all the unions.
I thank you, Mr. Zaragoza. I offer that thanks to Shannon Leslie, Tabine Cosio, Jim Dombrowski,
yes.
the staff who really does all of this work.
Absolutely. I just want to thank you for an excellent job.
There's a motion and a second on this item. Any other comments from board members? Let's vote. Please vote. Did everybody vote? Okay, there's unanimous vote on that one too, and certainly express appreciation to the firefighters and the bargaining team and the cooperation and work with us on this.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, if I may, this county has great reason to be proud of the employees who serve this county. They have all stepped up thoughtfully and responsibly. The board's been consistent, thoughtful in our application, and applied fiscal conservatism in a humane way to try and achieve this. And I thank you for having developed that program.
And thank you, Mr. Nicole, and your entire bargaining team.
Thank you.
Okay, that completes the agenda. We have closed session items 11, 12, and 13. No? What am I
We put
looking
that
at
up.
here?
That we did put a closed session just to,
In case.
In case. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so in case there is no closed session,
we
is
didn't
what
plan
we're
for.
saying. You. All right then. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah, acceptable under agenda review. Okay. Okay, so does that, according to our new county council, our freshly minted county council, our agenda is complete then for the day.
Happy 4th of July.
All right then, we are adjourned.